Before I watched the tape, before my dad reached into the safe, into the black corners and dusty depth, before he pulled out the tape, slid off its cream paper covering, and exposed the tape to its first taste of light in 20 years, he told me that the tape was the reason he came to America from China. And I thought, how can a person sever ties with their family to create a barrier from home, from friends, of an entire ocean? How such a small object could create so much change was incomprehensible to me. Now, I'm talking about a VHS tape. The thing was probably 3 times as old as I was, and as expected, when we watched it, there is so much static. There's more static than anything else. But behind the noise, I think I could hear sirens and shouting. I saw vague images of people running, people pushing, people shouting. But it could have been anything. It could have been a bad video recording of Walmart on Black Friday. You would not have been able to tell. But he told me that the tape that he took was a video recording of a student protest in China. But the reason he came to America had more to do with the several thousands of people that he said died at the protest. Died? That's such a hard word to swallow. In my entire life, I've only had a few reasons to say the word. And several thousand is like the number of people at Nico, and I don't even recognize half of my grade, so how can I put a face on several thousand? I felt obligated to internalize a number, but I can't even imagine it. So he showed me photos of his classmates, of people at the protest, black and white photographs you'd find in an old yearbook. His arms wrapped around their shoulders. I saw a picture of a man with thick framed glasses, kids with vests and neckties and sweaters, a woman with a haircut that bobbed and flipped above her shoulders. He died. She died. He was arrested and probably died. I held their photos in my hand, turned them over and over in my fingers, but that didn't make their ghost-like images any more tangible. So I can't really comprehend death. I can't really feel death. The most I felt death, it was when my pet parakeet died of old age. So how can I understand the death of a person I would know of, several thousand? I imagined my friend being shot in the head by an officer, a friend that I'd go take classes with, a friend that I'd go to Panera with, a friend that I would make prom plans with being shot in the head. But the most that can be is still only imagined. So I can't comprehend the conflicts within my dad's life. I can't comprehend or imagine how so many people could be wiped away so quickly, so easily, within one single night. I can't imagine what it'd be like to not take my safety for granted. I've never lived with genuine fear in my life, so I can't imagine how it would feel. I don't know how I responded to watching the tape. I certainly didn't cry after watching. I wasn't really thinking of the several thousand that lost their friends, lost their classmates, their brothers or sisters. I didn't think of them behind the clouds of static, but I only saw a video of people running, shouting, pushing. I don't know how I reacted to the film, but I do know that when the TV is flicked on and the 7 o'clock news comes on the screen, I don't watch the news the same way anymore. When I imagine my friend being shot in the head by an officer, my friend, and an officer gripped by illogical fear. What if my friend's name was Trayvon Martin? When I hear news broadcasts about how 4.6 million of Syrians are now refugees, how 11 million people have been forced to flee or been killed, how Syria has lost half of its population within the last 5 years, I try to imagine. What if my dad was a Syrian refugee and not a Chinese one? What if he tried to come to this country, tried to come to the very state we live in, only to find that our country, our state, is currently rejecting all incoming refugees? I try to imagine. For me, the situation within Syria is incomprehensible. The fear people feel of leaving their houses because of the threat of warfare, violent racism, prejudice is totally incomprehensible. I guess I don't comprehend a lot, but I do know that I can't let this lack of comprehension become a barrier to empathy. Because isn't that what compassion is about? Trying to understand the circumstances of people without having to experience them for yourself. I know that often a lack of comprehension is an enabler of ignorance, of apathy, of complacency. I know that the tragedy within my dad's life, within his classmates' lives, is the same tragedy happening to millions today, millions yesterday, millions a few weeks ago, millions a few decades ago. I know that this common violence is happening right now. I know that we all know this from news broadcasts and articles on the internet. But I know that I am here because my dad was able to make it to this country, because he's able to become welcome, because he was able to start a new life for his family. I don't know a lot of things, but I do know one thing. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know that I am here because of the compassion of others that were more fortunate than us.